Resume. Even in 2025, it still remains the most important document that can get you jobs. No matter what you do, the recruiter will still start from your resume. But most resumes sound like chores. The one that kind of gets you an interview, makes you stand out, and tells your story. But what is that resume? Hi, my name is Danish and I help people level up their careers by helping them land their dream jobs. I have been reviewing resumes for a long time and I have received amazing reviews from people who I have helped. In this video, I wanted to share 4 things which will completely change your mindset on how to create a standout resume which actually tells your story and makes you stand out in the pile of resumes. In this video, I'll be sharing 4 biggest mistakes which are a complete no-no on your resume. And these things will completely change how you see your resume and what makes you stand out on your resume. The biggest mistake which I see when I review the resumes is that people write with their own mindset. But what you should be doing is to think in terms of what recruiter want to see. You have to make your resume so readable, so easy to understand that the recruiter, who is not majorly technical or is not from your domain or is not well aware of whatever jargon you use, they should be able to understand by skimming your resume in first 10 to 15 seconds. Although the average time of reviewing a resume by a recruiter is 7 seconds or even less, but if you make your resume compelling enough for them to read, easy enough for them to read and understand, they would be willing to spend more time on resume. So the first thing you need to know is to write with a recruiter's mindset. For example, the resumes I have reviewed, I have seen majority of resumes using acronyms and short words which are relevant to their company, but the recruiter might not be well aware of them. So these are either industry specific or even worse, they are company specific, so anyone outside of their company wouldn't know what that means. So avoid using any short words or acronyms. The key here is to make your resume so easy to read and understand that the recruiter should not go away from your resume to search for words or things you have mentioned. Here's the trick which I use. Ask your friend to read your resume and you should not help them. Send your resume to a close friend or a relative and tell them to read out loud and ask them if they understood what exactly you wanted to convey. So if they answer in the exact terms that you wanted to convey or matches your job description, you're in a good spot. But normally that is not the case. Usually people write so much with their own mindset that they forget that the recruiter will not be sitting next to them when they are reading the resume, and hence they cannot answer any questions. So your resume should be independent of you. It's like a book or a story which people read independent of the author and they still understand. And that's the same role your resume should play. One of the easy way to achieve this is to ask an AI to write your resume in simple grade 7 English. This is the English which is bare minimum and can be understood by anyone on the planet who has achieved a fluent English learning level. This is how you actually use AI. You just don't tell it to do and write it for you, but you tell them how to write for you. You would say that write it in simple grade 7 English so that it is easy for recruiters to understand. It would chop off any industry specific or company specific words and hence will make it easy for recruiter to understand and read through your resume. In addition to that, it also makes it coherent and fluent. So once the recruiter starts your resume, they would read up till the end. Even if they are skimming, they would still grasp what you wanted to convey. Now let's talk about structure, the second most important thing in your resume. Should it be 1 page, 2 page? Should I mention education? Where the summary goes? 2 column, 1 column? What is all that about? I have tried numerous resume formats and all of them failed me except one. Contrary to the many opinions out there, it is the one single page 4 section layout. Your most important things goes very top on the page. Your contact information, your name, your LinkedIn profile, and anything which will help recruiter find you and information about you goes on the very. Next comes the summary or professional summary as others say. Your summary should contain at least 4 sentences. Your summary is a hook which will let the recruiter to decide to read further or not. It should be compelling enough for the recruiter to actually move on to your experience section where the actual meat is. So in terms of summary, you should at least have 4 sentences. First one being your introduction and your number of experience in the domain you are applying to. So for example, I would say I am a software engineer with 12 years of experience in fintech. Or if you're an accountant, you can say like you have 7 years of experience in handling accounts for a particular type of business, industry, or anything where you have worked on. The more relevant your resume is to the industry you are applying to, the higher the chances of you getting an interview. The second point should mention your skills and your ability for what the job requires. The third is any achievement that you have achieved using those skills and would make a recruiter say, wow. Think about this in a way that if you find a recruiter in an elevator, what is one thing that you would tell them that would make them wow and would want to know more about you? It can be related to business revenue, reducing costs, cutting down time, or anything achieved that you would have done with your skills in your previous roles. And the last point should be your objective for what the company is willing to achieve, their vision, and if you're aligned with them. So for example, very passionate about solving a particular problem the company is trying to solve in that particular industry. Next comes your skill section, which is basically a list of keywords. These are both helpful for recruiters and for the ATS software. So mention at least all of those keywords which are mentioned in the job description you are applying to. Third comes your experience, and this is where the meat is. The biggest mistakes I see in the resume are in the experience section. People usually write job descriptions instead of what they did. And even if they write what they did, they miss the impact. So you need to have a balance of all three. You need to show that you are experienced in that particular job description with the skills you have, and this is the impact that you have made. So there is a simple formula for it. It is as simple as task plus action plus result. What was the problem which was assigned to you, the actual task, how you solved it using your skills which are mentioned in the job description, this is important, and what was the output and what was the impact. So for example, you automated something. So automation always brings down the time required to complete the task. So you achieved reducing the time. So you achieved reducing the cost. Or if you have introduced a process, you would have increased the efficiency or efficacy of a particular part in your business, which have in turn increased the revenue, made customers happy, or things like that. That is exactly what recruiter is looking for. They already know you are capable because you have applied for the job. So they don't want to see that you are experienced Android developer, or you are an experienced accountant or a librarian. What they want to see is what you achieved during those tenure in your roles, and if those results will align with the business goals. So if you show them impact, that you have achieved something with your skills, that's when recruiters will call you for an interview. Now, if that sounds complicated to you, here's a small trick. Always ask a so what question whenever you have written a bullet point in your resume. Well, when it comes to bullet points, always make sure that your resume is in bullet points and not in long paragraphs, because recruiters will skim. In any case, they will skim your resume, and it's better to skim a bullet point than a whole paragraph. So again, whenever you're writing a bullet point, ask a so what question. So for example, if I write I created a login flow, why does that matter to the recruiter? For example, if I wrote I introduced a process or automated something, why does that actually matter to the recruiter? Basically, you have to answer so what question. Any task that you do in your work is related to a business outcome. So either it's increasing revenue, it's making customers happy, it's reducing the problems, saving time, cost saving, things like that is related to this in one way or another. And hence, with every bullet point, you have to make sure that you are answering the so what question, which is why your resume matters to the recruiter. They already know that you have these skills. They already know that you have been part of an organization where you have been utilizing these skills. But why should they care about you? If you're creating your resume through an AI would write generic sentences. They wouldn't mention specifics. The key here is to mention your specifics, exactly what you did, what problems you solved, and why it matters to the recruiter. You are already aware that when you see a job on LinkedIn, within an hour, there are 100 applicants there. Majority of those 100 applicants today are creating their resumes through AI. But the ones who stand out are the ones who mention specific things about their role and the things they have done in their previous companies and why and how it impacted the business. If there is one thing that can change your resume, and you should take the lesson out of this video, is answering the so what question. This will completely change how you look on your resume. Now coming to the last part, which is tailoring your resume for every application that you apply to. Now think in terms of recruiter again. If you're getting 100 applicants within an hour of posting your job, how difficult it is for you to pick a perfect candidate for your job. And it's your job to make it easy for the recruiter to pick you. And this can only happen if you are tailoring your resume specifically to the job you are applying to. Now consider if 100 applicants, all of them are creating their resumes with just one prompt and sending it directly to the recruiter, it wouldn't help. The output would be majorly same for all the candidates. The thing here, even if you are using AI, write your first draft yourself and then ask ChatGPT or whatever AI or LLM you're using to make it easy for the recruiter to understand. Grade 7 English. If you're not tailoring your resume is just another piece of paper lying on the desk or in your emails as a PDF document. Tailoring is the most important thing today which is required. 75% of the resumes get ignored by the ATS software if they are not aligned with the job description. This is why tailoring matters so much more than anything else. This is so mind-boggling to know that people don't spend time on their resumes when they've spent years in their degrees and with the hard work. They just don't spend a few minutes on their resume to tailor it to the job application they're applying to. If you're not tailoring your resume, you are missing out on opportunities. This is why tailoring matters. In terms of tailoring, it becomes more difficult when you have to apply in bulk. That is, your full-time job has become to apply for a job. And if it feels daunting to you, I've created a very small, easy-to-use tool which is completely free. You can go to resumelala.com and tailor your resumes for free. Resumelala uses exactly what recruiters use behind the scenes, the ATS. It parses your resume through ATS and tells you what and how you can improve it. It also allows you to paste the job description and it would fetch keywords out of those so that ATS cannot ignore your resume. In addition to that, it also uses very simple, coherent and fluent English so that it becomes very easy for recruiters to understand your resume. Last but not the least, make sure you are writing very relevant stuff on your resume. You don't have to add your hobbies, you don't have to add the experience which is not relevant to the current role. You don't have to add your references until and unless asked to do so. So, your resume is not your complete life story. It's something which is very relevant to the job you're applying to. It's not about showing everything you have done. It's about showing why you are the perfect fit. I hope you found valuable information in this video and it would help you make your resume better and land your dream job. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, the link is given in the description below and the link to Resume Lala is also given in the description below. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.